So with those words, I will hand it over to you, Eddie.
Thank you, Sidsel. So hi everyone, my name is Eddie Streng, as Sidsel mentioned. I'll just share my screen here. Let's see. And I'll just start by taking you through a quick overview of EN-TRACK to have the context of the project and what we've been trying to do these past few years and how we see this working in future with eQuad as well. So what is EN-TRACK? It's a one-stop shop, essentially a one-stop shop platform with standardized data related to the energy efficiency performance of the building stock in Europe. So, of course, the goal is to have as many buildings and energy efficiency measures as possible in the platform. But currently, as you can see, we have just around 5.5 thousand buildings. And I think now we're closer to around 4,000 energy efficiency measures. Can I not? There we go. Okay, so just an overview of the project itself. For the past 3 years, we've been running two pilots, one in Spain and one in Bulgaria. The one in Bulgaria, my colleague Stanislav will talk about in more detail later on in this webinar. It's ending now in April 2024. So what I'm looking at specifically as a business modeler in the context of the project, I've been looking at, okay, the longevity of the platform and integrating with other platforms in order to create equal value to each other, essentially. So yeah, that's essentially what we'll discuss today as well. This is just an overview of the challenge that EN-TRACK is trying to solve, how we're trying to solve it as well. Essentially, the challenge boils down to the lack of statistical data on the actual energy and cost savings. And the thing here is as well that there is a lot of data out there, but it's dispersed and it exists in various different shapes and formats. So what EN-TRACK is trying to do to solve this challenge is to enable an interoperable ecosystem of data and tools that supports that decision making in not only building refurbishment, but also in the financial sector when it comes to the building sector as well. So in terms of making decisions when financing energy efficiency projects, enabling this data in that process is highly valuable to financial institutions as well. And essentially the methodology here is to make the data input simpler, more attractive and cost effective, as gathering all of this data and putting it into a platform can be quite a time-consuming and not such a profitable endeavor if it's a complicated process. So trying to make that input a whole lot easier, and then creating more valuable outputs as well in terms of integrating with other useful tools as well. So essentially, there are four objectives that all sort of play off of this. So number one objective is the massive and continuous data gathering. And of course, the more data we have, the more value the platform eventually brings to the users. This is, of course, done through adopting a standard data description and data gathering method as well. This in turn leads to better data for building owners. They can make better decisions in terms of how to improve their buildings, also potentially access financing through these processes as well. And this in turn leads to more information and more reliable information as well for financial institutions in order to make decisions on, let's say, what type of technologies to invest in, how their building portfolio compares to others, etc. The approach here is number one, accessing data in existing databases and platforms and aligning them. So EN-TRACK is accessing data from, example, the eFig Deep platform and as well from the Joule Assets eQuad platform. So taking all of the existing data from existing platforms and unifying them in one platform to make all that dispersed data more valuable. And doing this automated is, of course, of high value there. And then combining this with user submitted data. So essentially, the more users we have in the platform and the more data upload we have in the platform, the more valuable the platform eventually is to all users on the platform. And another key point here is automated data consistency checks and data quality labels. For example, plenty of financial institutions mention that the data available to them is not trustworthy, or that they don't know basically the quality of the data they're looking at. This then is available to essentially 3 different user types. We have building owners and operators. This is really the key user here, the data uploaders of the platform. And they can use it to manage their own building portfolio and eventually also access financing through EN-TRACK indirectly and directly through other integrated platforms such as eQuad. Financial institutions can use EN-TRACK to benchmark and compare not only potential buildings that they're thinking of investing in, but if they're trying to identify new technologies to venture into, to invest more in, they can see across the data we have in EN-TRACK how they normally fare in specific environments. For example, if you're thinking of investing in a specific type of lighting projects in Spain in a specific type of building, you can go in and look at similar buildings and decide whether it's a wise investment decision on your end. And for a rather important user of EN-TRACK as well are the policymakers and official public bodies, such as governments, etc. They could really see, for example, with different grants and policies that they enable in their regions in order to bring down emissions. They can track these and see, okay, if we invoke these policies, how much does it actually affect the building sector in our country or in our municipality? So I think that would be a really valuable tool for policymakers as well, who we are now reaching out to more in the end of the project. But that's a quick overview of the platform and what we're trying to do. I'll hand over to my colleague Stanislav to talk of a real-life example from the Bulgaria pilot.
Thank you, Eddie. Stanislav, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. So hello, everybody. I will share my slides now. You see my screen?
Perfectly fine, yes.
So in the next few minutes, I will give you an overview how EN-TRACK can support Bulgarian municipalities in the energy planning and energy management, as we recognize it as a useful tool. But first, let's start with the baseline. I guess not only in Bulgaria, but in all other EU member states, local authorities are obliged to manage energy. And this is also very clearly stated in the Bulgarian Energy Efficiency Act. So it's not something new for them. Unfortunately, the way and the quality of the energy plans and the way they manage energy is not satisfactory, at least on our opinion. This is an overview that we made of all the energy efficiency plans of the Bulgarian municipalities, and we see that almost 1/3 of them is not following the legal requirements to have an energy plan. The quality of these plans is also not the way it should be, let's say, because just few of the plans have some quantitative and measurable goals, and most of the plans don't have the financial framework where the money will come to implement the energy measures foreseen in these plans. And of course, we try to identify the barrier for this. And this is that they miss energy data. They don't have the data available. They don't have data easy for processing. This is just an example how a couple of weeks ago, a municipality wanted us to do an energy audit of the street lighting system. And we asked for the energy consumption a couple of years back, and we got scanned paper invoices, 1,500 pages. That's how they give us the information for their energy consumption. The situation with the building is absolutely the same. All the Bulgarian municipalities, if they want to apply for some kind of financing for energy efficiency measures, they need to have an energy audit. And to have an energy audit, they should provide information for their energy consumption. Usually an energy audit can be done for a couple of weeks, but it takes them sometimes a month to collect the information for the energy consumption of their buildings. So with such lack of information, the energy planning, the energy management is absolutely not possible. So I will go through the history of the supporting tools. For the municipalities, we were involved in all of them, in the development of all of them. The first one back in 1998 was on the Microsoft Access. Unfortunately, the newer versions of Microsoft, Windows, etc., this is not a functional tool anymore. Then what we do for the municipalities with quite a limited budget, we developed a web-based platform, but with limited budget, we got limited functionalities. Only one user per municipality can use the platform. They can do benchmarking, but only for their own buildings. We see this platform as useful, but as I said, a lot can be done to facilitate the municipalities with additional functionalities, etc. So we're very happy that we have now EN-TRACK. Because of all the functionalities that it provides for the municipalities. Actually, yesterday I presented it to 3 Bulgarian municipalities, and they were impressed that we already implemented the data, the main data for their buildings based on the national register and the support of the Bulgarian Sustainable Energy Development Agency, who provided us information about 4,000 buildings and more than 15,000 measures, energy efficiency measures that are already in the platform and available for the municipalities. Of course, the one thing that is also interesting for them was that they can have multiple users per one municipality. Different users can be responsible for different buildings, and they were very keen and interested how they can follow the example of the Spain pilot, where the energy consumption data is generated automatically in the platform. So this currently is something that we will continue promoting to the Bulgarian municipalities in order to support them in the energy management, day-to-day energy management, and in the energy efficiency planning. In summary, the benefits for them, as we discussed them even yesterday, is that they, based on this data, they can optimize their energy consumption. They can take data-driven decisions based on the rich and diverse information that they have into the platform, and of course, facilitate them in attracting financing for their energy efficiency projects. The other thing that we recognize as useful is also for the national authorities. As probably some of you know, the new energy efficiency directive is obliging them to have an inventory of heated and cooled buildings occupied by the public authorities. So with such information uploaded to the EN-TRACK platform, they can easily fulfill their obligations under this energy efficiency directive. So this was shortly my overview of the EN-TRACK and the benefits that we expect for the Bulgarian users, and I'm here if some questions will be raised based on this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanislav. Now back to you, Eddie, and the integration with the eQuad platform.
Sure. So with all of that in mind, I'll sort of try to steer us into eQuad and how this all integrates and connect. But first, what is eQuad? I'd say the first thing to clarify here is, what does Joule Assets do in Europe? What we do is that we facilitate financing for energy efficiency projects or sustainable energy assets within the built environment. And part of how we do this is through our eQuad platform that we developed back in 2016 through an H2020 project as well. Essentially, what it does is that it allows project developers and building owners or end clients to create a project where they enter information on site consumption, planned energy conservation measures, and the revolving financial implications around that, such as costs and savings, etc. And it very simply creates a financial pro forma on that project, and then the tool allows you to bundle several projects into one pipeline of projects that you can then introduce to investors through the platform. So it essentially takes care of the process of starting at project origination to analysis, the diligence. We also have partners that we can offer certification and performance insurance through, and we have a document management system. And then ultimately the introduction to investors happens once the projects have been reviewed, approved, and then we, as with our investor network, we know their investment criteria, and we are able to look at the pipeline of your projects in eQuad and say, we have just the investor for you. And then we make that introduction and support throughout with the due diligence, the document management, etc. So how does this then relate to EN-TRACK? Well, what we have just created in the EN-TRACK project after we had the finished EN-TRACK platform is that we got right to working on an integration where essentially the goal is two-faceted. We have essentially two use cases there. So the first use case, that as it's called here, is financing EN-TRACK buildings portfolios. What this means is essentially it's the main user type for this use case is the building owner. What this means is essentially the process that you can see over the arrow there. So the building owner would upload their building's data in EN-TRACK. You would then analyze the performance and determine the savings potential using EN-TRACK. And you could benchmark this with other similar buildings to get an idea of, okay, similar buildings have done this and had X result. And once you have that portfolio in EN-TRACK and you have that data in EN-TRACK, it's very easy for you, thanks to this integration, to create an eQuad account, which you now through EN-TRACK can also do for free and access all of these financing opportunities for free for a limited period. And you can use a token function where you essentially just copy a token from your eQuad account, enter it into your EN-TRACK account, and this allows you to very simply select buildings in EN-TRACK where you already did the data upload, and then you just select which ones you want to create into projects for financing in eQuad. So this allows you very easily to take all of that data you already have and the knowledge you already have in EN-TRACK and just in a few clicks transfer it for financing qualification in the eQuad platform. And eventually then, I mean, hopefully bundle these different projects depending on how many buildings you have that you're looking financing for. And then with our help, hopefully reach the investor introduction stage. So that's really the in my view the most important use case we have with this integration. But also financial institutions will be able to, as they have previously interacted with eQuad in the past, they have looked at the financial pro forma or the pipelines of the users there, and they have decided whether they are interested or not. But what they have been looking at is that project that the user has entered into eQuad. Now with the integration, they will also be able to use the EN-TRACK features of benchmarking different buildings, different energy efficiency measures. And so they get a lot more information in the same space that they used to. They can look at the financial pro forma that the user has created in eQuad, and they can say, okay, sure, you have an internal rate of return of 10%, but all of these other buildings in the same country in the EN-TRACK platform, in the EN-TRACK data, they have an internal rate of return of 15%, for example. So it just gives the financial institutions more knowledge and reassurance that what they are choosing to invest in is, up to a standard within those parameters that we're discussing for those projects. And this is something that I know that not only Joule Assets, but also Simne and other platform developers, when it comes to the energy industry, are trying to create is sort of not a single platform to deal with every issue of the industry, but create an ecosystem of platforms that can support each other and help the longevity of each other and ultimately bring the best solutions to the markets. So we also have a CIFA platform which enables the diligence on energy efficiency projects. We have contract authorization tools, risk assessment tools, etc. And this is then enabled through the Sustainable Energy Finance Association. And with this, we also have a integration with eQuad, and with eQuad, we have the integration with EN-TRACK. So essentially, the goal should be to, as big of an extent as possible and what makes sense for all parties involved, take these different tools, platforms, digitalized solutions, and make them work together in order to bring the best solution forward for the market. Because we see this a lot in the industry as well, that, there's no one solution for all problems. So there's no point in pretending that the CIFA platform or the eQuad or the EN-TRACK is going to be that one solution. Rather work with each other, integrate, support each other's missions, and that's what we're trying to do here. And finally, if you're interested in accessing, either EN-TRACK or eQuad, whether it's for uploading data or understanding more how to use the benchmarking features or accessing financing. I would recommend you to check out our self-paced training and guidance that we have on both these platforms through Nearpod. Or you can just sign up for an eQuad account, and I will inevitably reach out to you and harass you to have a one-on-one call with me so I can teach you everything about it. Or you can sign up for EN-TRACK as well and just start uploading your data and benchmark your buildings. But I would encourage you, for any further information, to reach out to me. You can see my email there on the screen. I'd be happy to walk you through either platform and figure out what solution is best for you. But yeah, thank you very much. That's pretty much what I have to say.
Thank you, Eddie. So I wondered if there anyone who has a question before we wrap up. Then you can either put it in the Q&A or you can just reach out to us after this. So what we will do now is to have a short summary, and then we'll make sure to include the links that Eddie just shared to the training materials, and to reach out if you're interested in having a one-on-one call on how to make these benefits real for you. And on that note, I think there's nothing left to do but to wish you a lovely rest of the afternoon. And we'll send out the links and a follow-up material. So hopefully we'll hear from you. Thank you.